All right, Wayne Allyn, welcome back. Interesting story, right? I mean, you could feel the pain and the anguish coming from Costanza Arizaga. I think I pronounced it right, Arizaga. You could feel the pain and the anguish. She told me the story off mic, just in the last few minutes. She just couldn't stop talking because she wants someone to hear her pain. That they have the money now to buy their house out of foreclosure, to get their house back and stay in the home they've lived in all these years, a decade. And the bank won't accept the money. They said, you're better off being an illegal immigrant who's never paid taxes and has $50,000 put aside and go to the auction for their house and put down 10 cents on the dollar and steal their house from them when they're willing to pay it off right now. And the bank doesn't care. They don't want their money. They'd rather go to auction at this point. Nobody listens to anybody. It's a giant cluster, cluster truck. It's just unbelievable how bad this country is right now, what's going on. And the banks are horrible. And I guess everybody thinks because I'm Mr. Capitalist Conservative, I'm supposed to love banks. Well, I don't. I've never loved banks. All right, so if you go to foxnews.com, you'll find my commentary. Harry Reid Airport in Las Vegas? No way, Jose. That's my commentary at Fox News, up as we speak right now. And the commentary that I just wrote this morning for Sunday's RJ, here it is. Trump is right again. This is the commentary that'll be in Sunday's Las Vegas Review Journal by Wayne Allyn. Trump is right again. Unhinged liberal conspiracy theorists spend all day and night screaming about President Trump's taxes and Russian connections. It's clear some of them require a straitjacket and a rubber room. But Wednesday's terror attack in London put what really matters front and center. Not just what matters to America, but more specifically, what matters to Las Vegas. As Obama was fond of saying, we just experienced a teachable moment. This Islamic terror attack proves once again that Trump is right. Politically correct liberal media first identified the attacker as, quote-unquote, Asian. As usual, they were worried about offending Muslims. I knew the moment I heard the word Asian, it was a radical Islamic terror attack. I knew the moment I heard that a man ran people over with his car near the United Kingdom's parliament, it was an Islamic terror attack. I knew the minute I heard he stabbed a policeman to death with a machete, it was a terror attack. And yes, gasp, I knew the minute I saw the attacker on an ambulance gurney, he didn't look a bit Asian. His Islamic beard gave it away. Here we were watching a terrible terrorist tragedy unfold, and the pathetic politically correct media had to fall all over themselves to not offend Muslims. They called the attacker Asian. This can only be described as a combination of stupidity, insanity, and lunacy. All I could think was, thank God we have President Donald Trump. Now we can admit the truth instead of worrying about political correctness. Now we can actually stand behind the victims of radical Islamic terrorism. Now we're allowed to fight fire with fire. We could fight ISIS and other radical Muslim terrorists with our military, not with lawyers and diversity experts. God, I hate that term. Diversity experts. Now we can actually call our enemies by their name, otherwise known as call a spade a spade. You can call them radical Islamic terrorists. Meanwhile, radical ultra-liberal judges, handpicked, literally shopped and handpicked by leftist agitators, chose to ignore the U.S. Constitution to prevent our president from deciding who comes into our country. Unelected judges in places like Hawaii think they have the right to determine the national security policy of the United States of America. They think it's politically incorrect to err on the side of caution in temporarily banning people from entering America from countries with a history of rampant terrorism, where hatred for America and Western values dominates, and where those countries are unable to properly vet their citizens. What we all just witnessed on the streets of London proves, let me stress, proves that President Trump is right. People hailing from dangerous countries where terrorism dominates need to be extreme vetted. We do need to be careful who we choose to allow in our country. The president does have a responsibility to keep our citizens safe. So pay attention, fellow Las Vegans. This is a Las Vegas issue. Our entire Vegas economy depends on tourism and tourists feeling safe. Let the wrong person into the U.S. from a country that breeds terrorism and hatred for America, and Las Vegas could be the next London or Paris or Nice or Belgium airport. It could be our Vegas Strip where a radical Islamic terrorist runs down 100 pedestrians. Can you imagine? It could be our McCarran Airport where Islamic terrorists kill 50 tourists. It could be our hotel lobbies where dozens of guests are shot dead. It could be our gleaming mammoth five-star resorts that crumble in a 9/11 style attack, leaving thousands dead. There's no place here for political correctness. None. Inconveniencing one tourist or one potential immigrant from Syria or Sudan or Iran is not what's important. But allowing the wrong tourist or immigrant into America or leaving our border unsecured could lead to the end of Vegas as we know it, the end of the tourist capital of the world. Donald Trump is right again. That's my commentary in Sunday's Las Vegas Review-Journal. And boy, if that doesn't make you think, I don't know what should. And then to sum it all up, that Donald Trump is right and Donald Trump's doing the right thing, look at the headline today. State Department tightens visa approval policies in Islamic states. Officials at the Department of State are quietly, boy, you better do it quietly, tightening oversight of visa approvals in many foreign countries, including many Islamic countries, even as pro-immigration groups press judges to block the president's new immigration policies. The new administrative policy was revealed by leaks to Reuters and to the New York Times, which reported on March 23rd, diplomatic cables sent last week from the Secretary of State Rex Tillerson to all American embassies instructed officials to broadly increase scrutiny. It was the first evidence of the extreme vetting Mr. Trump promised during the presidential campaign. Yay! Yay! Go Donald! The new rules generally do not apply to citizens of 38 countries, including most of Europe and long-standing allies like Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea. They should have added Canada, who can be speedily admitted into the U.S. under the Visa Waiver Program. That program does not cover citizens from any program in the Middle East or Africa. Mr. Trump and his national security team are not waiting to toughen the rules to decide who can enter the United States. Embassy officials must now scrutinize a broader pool of visa applicants to determine if they pose security risks to the United States. Simple as that. You can't let anybody and everybody in. How stupid can you be to say that's America? That's what Obama and his fans would say. His Kool-Aid drinking sycophants. They'd say, oh my God, that goes against everything America believes in. You've got to let everybody in. Everybody's equal. They're all, look, there's a guy from Ireland. There's a guy from Italy. There's a Jew from Israel. Oh, look, it's a Muslim with a long beard. And he's not carrying a Quran. He's carrying a bomb. Let him in. He's a nice man. These people are mentally insane. They're deranged. Liberalism is a mental disease. You are so blind, you don't even know what you're saying. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing to your own children. You don't know what's going to come to this country and destroy it 50 years from now. You and Angela Merkel, you morons, knuckleheads, schmucks. That's what you are. You're idiots. You're killing your own grandchildren. You're making the situation crystal clear. Perfect circumstances, perfect environment, perfect ingredients. You're baking a cake that creates the perfect environment so 50 years from now, your grandchildren won't even recognize America and will be taken over, conquered by Muslims and killed, or live under Sharia law, or areas of this country will be uninhabitable, just like France and the Netherlands and England, where there are no-go zones where the police can't go in. It's already happening. Go look at Detroit. Muslim community right outside Detroit. Go look. Dearborn, Michigan. Have you ever seen the live videos? I saw the videos of the demonstration in Dearborn. It wasn't a demonstration by nice Muslims saying, we're against terrorism. We are Americans first. We hate ISIS. No, that wasn't a demonstration. They were screaming that Jews must die. They had signs up that said, let's treat them like the Nazis. Let's go back to Hitler. That's what Muslims were standing in line doing in Dearborn. And you can make it up all you want that Wayne Root is stirring up trouble and I'm divisive, except I don't have any signs like that. They had the signs. I saw them. And I've seen them at every liberal rally. Find me a liberal protest in this country, and you will see signs from the People's Communist Party, Communist Workers of America, Marxists of America, and you will see signs saying Nazis were right, Hitler was right, kill the Jews. Jews are the occupiers of Palestine, kill the Jews. Those signs are at every liberal rally. That's not what I want for the future of America. I don't want America to look like London 2 days ago. I don't want America to look like Nice after a truck ran over 100 people and flattened them like pancakes. Have you ever seen a little child flattened like a pancake by a giant Mack truck? Did you see the woman bloodied in the street of London on that Westminster Bridge after her husband was flung over it to his death, landed on the street below? He's from Utah. And she from Utah with the blonde hair, beautiful gal, lying in the ground, blood all over her face, in shock, broken leg, broken rib, and her husband is dead. Is that what you want for America, liberals? Because you're going to get it. You're going to open the door to it all. Ain't going to happen on my watch, baby. Ain't going to happen on my watch or Donald's watch. We will make sure it doesn't happen. This is Fortress America. We're locking it down. Whether you like it or not, we're going to keep your grandchildren safe because you're too stupid, pathetic, and ignorant to do it for yourself. Wayne Allyn. All right, Wayne Allyn Roots, Swore Now. This is a segment we call Building the Wall with Kevin Wall. You know, he's got the 9 a.m. to noon slot, live and local with Kevin Wall every day. Monday through Friday, right here on 790 Talk Now. His show is Live and Local with Kevin Wall. He joins us now, as he always does, to talk about the hottest issues in Las Vegas and the state of Nevada. Kevin Wall, how are you, good buddy?
Happy weekend, my friend.
So I think it's pretty clear we're getting the Raiders now, don't you think?
I think it's a done deal. I think the idea of getting 24 votes for the Raiders relocation, I think that's already been done. I think when Jerry Jones and people like that are supporting this thing, I'm pretty convinced it's a done deal. Now, the big question is, do they have enough money put together? The Bank of America, it's great. Somebody wants to start a new business and goes to their local Bank of America. Is it really that easy to get, $650 million? The Raiders, I guess, had no problem getting Bank of America to step up. Yet somebody's trying to open a taco stand or a restaurant or a business, trying to get a bank loan. It ain't easy.
Well, you know what's funny is you may not have been listening, but in the 3 o'clock hour, I had a guest named Costanza Arizaga, and she's a Latino woman for Trump who is losing her home. It's in foreclosure. She's trying to get it back. She has enough money to buy it out of foreclosure and keep her own home, and the bank refuses to let her do it. They won't return her calls. They won't return her letters. She fights. She screams. She yells. She's relentless. It doesn't matter. Banks don't care. And she's dealing with, I believe, B of A. I know she said at one point it was Countrywide. Then B of A bought it, so I assume it's a B of A loan now. But in any case, whether it is B of A or not, let's assume it's them or another one. Whoever it is, they won't. This is how they're treating, a human being who's a taxpayer and a citizen, a legal citizen. And she was born and raised in the United States, although roots are in Mexico. And that's how she's treated as a little small businesswoman. But yet, when you need $650 million for a football stadium, B of A's right there for you.
Yeah, the banks are more than willing to step up if you're the Raiders in the National Football League and you need $650 million and you need it fast.
Just like if you're a little guy and you have a $200,000 loan from B of A or any bank, I don't mean to pick on B of A, they're all the same. If you have a $200,000 loan, the bank has you by the balls, and they foreclose and they ruin your life. But as Donald Trump proves, if you owe the banks $3 or $4 billion, you've got them by the balls, and they don't foreclose. And that's how Donald Trump escaped his big Houdini act in the 1980s. And again, at some point about 10 or 15 years ago, he escaped a few problems in Atlantic City because the banks let you go if you owe them billions of dollars. So it's just sad. As usual, the big guys can accomplish almost anything they need, but the little fish are always fried.
But the good thing is, from a Las Vegas standpoint, is it looks like by as early as next week, when the NFL owners meet in Phoenix, we could end up with a National Football League team. Wouldn't that be fabulous?
I have no doubt, Kevin. I have no doubt that we're going to get the NFL team. No doubt. It's going to be the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm not quite sure where they're going to play for the next 3 years while the stadium's being built. I would guess they'd be renting year to year in Oakland at the Coliseum, I would guess. I don't know that to be a fact. Maybe they'll play in Sam Boyd. I don't know. Maybe they'll play in a little bandbox, which the San Diego Chargers, by the way, are playing in a 35,000-seat stadium right now in L.A.
A soccer stadium, yeah. Believe it or not, a soccer stadium that is configured for 30,000, and they're just going to play that way.
Right. Well, so that's probably what Sam Boyd holds, right? About 30,000, same thing.
Yeah.
I think a little more. I think it holds 35. I think it's 35 to the 30 that they've got in L.A. So I mean, it's conceivable they could come here and play at Sam Boyd for 3 years till the stadium is built. But look, I've always said, on the air with you on many occasions, both here and on your show, live and local, 9 a.m. to noon, every day right here at 790 Talk Now and 98.1 FM. I've said, Kevin, look, I love getting the Raiders. I think it's great. It's a big-time thing. It's going to make Vegas a big-time city. It's going to make us a huge, add to our tourism allure, add to the allure of buying a home here, bring jobs. It's got a lot of good things going for it. I just don't like the fact that we're going to spend $750 million of taxpayer money, the most ever spent in the history of America by taxpayers on a team. That continues to bother me.
Well, and the other thing is, remember, when you're talking about the National Football League, you're not talking about UNLV tickets or going to see a 51s game. You're talking about expensive tickets, and this is the one thing that everybody needs to know is that if you want to buy season tickets to the Raiders, and I'm sure it's going to be it might be between the 20s or it might be stadium wide, you're going to have to pay a seat tax.
A license fee, right? A seat license fee, yeah.
Exactly. And the Raiders were one of the first teams in the National Football League to actually go after that. And a lot of people said, it'll never work, it'll never work. It does work. And they're thinking that in Las Vegas, they could raise upwards of $250 million a year off seat licenses.
Well, I wonder, you mentioned that they were the first one to do it. So they did it up in Oakland. And so you're paying a license fee for the privilege of owning a box seat, I guess is what it comes down to. Of owning a season ticket. Right. So my question is, do you ever see that money again, or it's gone forever on the day they leave Oakland and they come to Vegas?
Everybody does these seat license things differently. There are some where you actually can inherit them. They can get caught up in a divorce suit. And every team that's used, whether it's college teams or professional teams, they all deal with them a little differently. How this is going to be dealt with, I don't know. But we're talking about $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 per seat. So if you have 4 season tickets, you might be coughing up a lot of money.
Yeah,
and that's before you ever buy the seats themselves.
Yeah, I hope there's a lot of rich people in Vegas because I don't see a lot of middle class people affording $20,000 for seats at a stadium, and then that's just for the privilege of renting the seat. Then you got to first pay for the seat every single game, all throughout seasons. So I don't know where people get this kind of money.
By the way, including those really exciting first 3 exhibition games.
Yeah,
those preseason games. Those are really exciting. They're scintillating.
Well, that's why I've always argued that it makes no sense that there are 16 games in a season. There should be 18 games in a season. And take those those exhibition games, and you said 3. It's actually 4. There's 4 weeks of exhibition football. Every team has at least 4 preseason games,
but not all at home. Is all the point.
Correct. There's 2 at home. There's 2 at home and 2 away, and some teams even have a 5th game because they play in the Hall of Fame game. But the end result is you could easily take away 2 games and have 18 regular season games, extend the season a little bit, give 2 bye weeks, and people would get something for their money. They'd get 18 games instead of 16, and they'd only have 2 preseason. They wouldn't care about those. So that makes a lot more sense. And who's been standing in the way of that? At least the owners, who I criticize often in this case, are on the side of that. It's the players' union that refuses to allow that. They say it's too much wear and tear on the players, which to me is ludicrous because there's so much extra money if you do that the players would get paid a lot more money per year.
No, indeed. And one of the things that the players, when the players talk about wear and tear, the fact is they're still doing training camp every day for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it is. I don't buy that argument. Now, I think what the players would like to say is, well, you're going to add 2 games or more, then give me 2 more game checks.
Right.
So instead of making $100,000, I'll make or $1 million for some of the bigger players. I'll make $1.3 million.
Yeah, no question about it.
But the owners don't want any part of that.
No, but they should because there's more money to share in the pot. Everyone will make more money. So it's silly not to do that. You just got to offer them more money. That's the way to get this to work. All right, when we get back, we have more local news, a lot of stuff going on in Nevada, a lot of stuff going on in Carson City. And, of course, Kevin, you're aware that the new health care bill, the repeal of Obamacare, went down in flames. They couldn't get enough votes. They just, delayed the vote, maybe forever. We'll see. Maybe we wake up Monday morning and find out they've got the votes. I don't know. But for now, it appears that the idea to replace Obamacare is dead. My name is Wayne Allyn, segment called Building the Wall with Kevin Wall. We shall return. All right, Wayne Allyn, WAR Now. We've got Kevin Wall on the line, segment called Building the Wall with Wall. Kevin Wall's on every day, 9 a.m. to noon, right here on 790 Talk Now in Las Vegas, as well as 98.1 FM in Palm Springs. He is 5 days per week, as I am. And Kevin, welcome back to WAR Now.
Always good to be with you. Hey, don't forget what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. OJ and a possible parole hearing in Lovelock. And by the way, this is something that could see OJ out on the streets maybe by October, maybe even earlier.
All right,
this is amazing. So
before we get to OJ, I'm gonna pin you against the wall and ask you all about OJ in a second. But first, I have a question I've never understood. It never made sense why Sheldon Adelson was ever in the Raider deal in the first place, because it was a crappy deal. For $650 million, they didn't give him any ownership in the team, and they didn't give him any ownership in the stadium, if my understanding was correct. He didn't get any of the profits. They all went to the Raiders. So how do you ever get your money back? I don't understand. So why would B of A want that? What B of A is a bank, right? A bank doesn't get involved in bad deals. You don't get your money back. So how do they ever get paid back? There's $650 million. Do you have any idea?
It's the same way as when you buy a house. When you bought your mansion,
it's just monthly payments.
Anthem Country Club, they're going to make interest.
They're
going to make interest. I mean, this is just a loan. This is not philanthropy. It's not anything else. It is a loan.
And that was going to be Sheldon's deal too, just a loan. That was it. Okay.
Well, no. Now, wait a minute. I don't know that that's the way it began. I think in the beginning it was Sheldon Adelson, philanthropy. He wanted to make our community a better place to live, and he said this would be a good thing to do. What I think he found out as he got deeper in is that much like the taxpayers of the state of Nevada and Clark County and anybody that uses the hotel motel tax, is that they're not getting anything for that except a nice thank you from the Raiders in the National Football League. They weren't going to figure. See, I would ask the same question, Wayne, not just of Sheldon Adelson, but I'd ask, the people that passed this hotel motel tax to the tune of $650-750 million. What are we getting for it? Do we get a piece of the profits? Answer: no. And that's why I'd ask the same question to the legislators that passed this.
Well,
what do we get for it?
Here's the difference. So Sheldon and Bank of America were both entering into a deal where they would just get good old plain boring interest, old-fashioned way of you make a loan, you get interest.
I don't think Sheldon had that deal. I think his deal in the beginning was $650 million.
And get back nothing?
Well, I don't think he knew what he was getting back, because the deal wasn't really done.
Well, don't forget what I always guessed.
And that's why he dropped out after negotiations broke down.
Don't forget what I always guessed. I always guessed he was putting in $650 million, and he was going to get an option to buy into the Raiders, because Davis is not very rich. Everybody knows that. He's the poorest owner in the entire NFL, Mark Davis. who inherited it from his father, Al. Doesn't have any money. Sheldon would buy it one day. He's got two sons. The two sons, it would be in their name, so it wouldn't be involved with gambling. And once he found out that they would never allow that because his money is dirty to the NFL because of gambling, which is ridiculous, which is hypocritical, which is stupid. His money is just as good as anyone else's money, and certainly in his son's names, it would have nothing to do with gambling. But once he found that out, that's why he backed out. So maybe he wasn't getting any money back for the $650, but he was certainly getting something out of the deal when he found out he wouldn't get it. He backed out. That's just a guess on my part. And now B of A is just getting interest. But here's the difference. The people are getting nothing. We're just putting in $750 million with no ownership and no interest, no payback of any kind. The $750 is like putting money in a fireplace, correct?
Exactly. And that's why I've said all along that I thought this deal was a bad deal. As much as I'm going to love going to this new stadium, I think it's great. We're going to have political conventions here. We're going to have all kinds of stuff. It's going to be great. But all that being said, they wanted us to be partners, except when it comes to divvying up the profits. Then we're like, excuse me, and your name is, sir? I mean, that kind of thing. I've always said that, and till the day I die, I'll say, I think it's a great idea. I love the idea of having the Raiders come here and seeing the National Football League. But I just believe that we're getting the short end of the stick. The politicians said it was okay, so I guess it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess it's okay. The only good thing about it, I thought, was A, Raiders will be good for the city, and B, the money is not stuck on you and me. It's technically on the tourists. But it will find its way to you and me because the reality is none of that money includes the money needed to make all the infrastructure changes to get the city ready, to get the off-ramps on the 15 ready, to get the roads ready. Everything will be more money, and taxpayers will be hit for that money, no doubt about it. All right, O.J. Simpson. Now let's get to O.J. So O.J. may actually be out by this fall. Is that right?
That is the word. He is eligible for parole sometime this summer. They have not quite figured up exactly when that is, but it's sometime in the middle of the summer he is eligible for parole. That means that he will be having a parole hearing soon. The way they're going to do it, because they don't want to cause a big commotion, they know there's going to be a big media hubbub about this, they're going to keep O.J. in a booth, so to speak, kind of a television booth, and very similar to what you do like on a regular basis with Fox, where you go someplace to a little studio and they put a camera on you, and that's going to be O.J.'s part of it. The parole commission is going to be in Carson City, and they'll have their part televised. O.J. will have his part televised, so we'll get a chance to watch this thing. It'll be interesting to see. But again, this is a guy that's got a 33-year sentence, and they're in the process now. And I think, as I haven't heard that there are any problems with him at Lovelock, that my guess is that he'll probably be walking the streets as early as October.
Yeah, my guess is he's been Lovelocked a few times at Lovelock. I'm sure he's been in quite a few Lovelocks.
No.
OJ was in demand at Lovelock. I'll bet you. The reality is that it's going to be like a reality show, watching him in that little booth and that little screen, and the whole America will probably tune in again. And the reality is that I hear, again, remember I produce reality TV shows, so I get all the scuttlebutt from Hollywood, and I hear that if he gets out, they've already got a reality TV show lined up. This is not a joke for him and Casey Anthony, the child killer. But again, I'll say the alleged child killer. It hasn't been proven, right? She never went to prison, right? She was not a proven child killer. No one has ever proven she knew what happened to her child, or she would have been in prison like OJ is, right?
I got to look that up, but I thought she got off.
She got found innocent. Is that what happened? She got cleared in court?
Don't hold me to that. Either that or a hung jury or something.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds familiar.
I would have to look at that, but I don't think she has ever served time in prison.
No, I know she hasn't. I just didn't realize. I thought maybe she was never charged, but you're right. She got found innocent, I guess, in a court of law, just like OJ did, too, by the way, for murder. He was found guilty, I guess, in a civil trial and held responsible for financial damages. But OJ is not a convicted murderer, so I guess Casey Anthony is not either. But the two of them in a reality show, I hear about what their lives are like all these years later, together in a reality show, showing what their lives are like, each in their own way, I guess. So,
and then the question is, will the Goldman family be waiting at the bank when OJ goes to cash the first check from his reality TV show?
I don't even know if they have to be waiting at the bank. I mean, I would think based on law, they won the lawsuit, so any money he makes, some portion of it, if not all of it, has to go to them. I would guess their lawyers have been waiting all these years, and it'll be fait to complete. Whatever money you pay him has got to, some portion of it, if not, maybe 90% of it, has got to go to that fund that was awarded to the Goldman family.
Well, but remember though, they auctioned off a lot of his stuff, and which went for a pretty good dollar. The question is, did they raise enough? I haven't looked back to see what the judgment was, but at some point, this is not an in perpetuity sort of deal where they're just going to be squeezing OJ until he dies. But there's a point at which all of this money that he's owed the Goldman family, eventually he'll pay it off. Now the question is, has it already been done? Does he owe another $10 million? I don't know, but we'll find that out, I'm sure, as we get closer to the parole hearing.
I think you're being too casual with the there's no question he'll pay it off. I don't know if he'll pay it off. It's in the millions, and if he doesn't make millions anymore, which he doesn't, no one, he's a pariah. No one's ever going to employ him again, most probably. He may have a very hard time paying it off in full. So it may not get paid off. It may sit there hanging over his head for the rest of his life. I know one thing, he gets like $500,000 a year from his NFL pension, and they can't touch that. That is walled off from any judgments. So he continues to get that for the rest of his life.
That may be something. But these reality TV show people, the Kardashians, they make enough money to pay off, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, whatever it is. I mean, they make pretty good money off those reality TV shows, don't they?
They do, but I think it's been proven that's not going to happen. In other words, there was a book deal about OJ saying how he did it. Do you remember that? He actually was going to write, and he was going to be given $1 million advance. And I think it was HarperCollins, if I remember correctly, but a big publisher was going to give him that advance, and the uproar from the public was so big they canceled the deal, and they never paid him, and there was no book. So I don't think anyone will ever do the TV show. There'd be way too much public pressure. Just because it's a TV show that's being talked about doesn't mean it'll ever happen unless he agrees the money goes straight to the victims. Then maybe it would happen. But in any case, O.J. Simpson certainly treated a lot tougher in Nevada than he was ever treated in California. I've said that before. We know how to treat O.J. Simpson here in Las Vegas. So we'll see if we let him out of prison. Who says he's getting out? Who says that his behavior's been so good he deserves to get out? We'll see.
Well,
a lot of people come up for parole.
But the deal is we haven't heard of a lot of we haven't heard problems. We haven't heard him disciplined or anything like that. I imagine word would have leaked out if indeed he was having problems inside. No,
but I mean, guys get up for parole all the time and they get rejected. So you don't have to be released when you're up for parole. So perhaps Nevada will say, I think he deserves another 5 years. Let him stay in for a while, cook for a little while. Some more Lovelock up there in Lovejoy or whatever it's called. Lovelock? Lovelock. Some more Lovelock up in Lovelock. All right, Kevin Wall, Building the Wall with Wall. Great to have you on, Kev.
We'll do it again. Have a great weekend, War.
We'll do it every week. We love doing it. All right, Wayne Allyn, War Now. When we get back, I got to read you some more jokes from Cliff Lawrence, the comedy writer who sends me all his best stuff. He's got some great stuff here, really funny. I'll just give you a quick taste. In Venezuela, the food shortage is getting worse and worse. To give you an idea of how bad it is, dumpsters now require reservations. Cliff Lawrence, comedy writer who sends me some great material, and we'll have all of it up next. War Now. All right, Wayne Allyn. That was the old sweeper, as we call it, with the old phone number on it, which still works. It's an overlay. In other words, when I have the 844 War Now 1, that phone number overlays on the 702 number, and you can use the 844 toll-free anywhere in the United States of America. 844 War Now 1. The great Sam Landis has entered our studio. He'll be on at 5:20, and he'll take calls if you have any tax questions at all. April 15th is coming up fast, tax day, and he is the number one tax lawyer, in my opinion, in this whole country. And he knows more about taxes in his little pinky than anybody else will know in their entire bodies times 1,000. So if you have any tax questions, we'll be glad to take them. He'll give you his best advice free on the air. Sam Landis with us from about 5:20 on. 844-WAR-NOW-1. I told you in the last few minutes of this hour I'd translate some of Cliff Lawrence's humor. Great comedic writer who writes for a lot of the late-night shows. Hilarious guy. So in Venezuela, the food shortage is getting worse. To give you an idea how bad it is, dumpsters now require reservations. CNN's ratings continue to fall. To give you an idea of how bad it is, last night, Anderson Cooper 360 had 359 viewers. Tiger Woods has written a memoir, and now a producer has bought the rights to adapt the book. It will be a porno movie. CNN has fallen into last place in the cable's news ratings. To give you an idea of how bad it is, the Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer is now called the Isolation Booth with Wolf Blitzer. According to a new study, 40% of British soccer players have rotting teeth. The other 60% have no teeth. Dog fights have been canceled. 13 pit bulls were seized in a major dogfighting sting in North Carolina. Experts say, although dogfighting is illegal in all 50 states, it's still more popular in America than soccer. We've heard for 30 years now, I've heard soccer is going to be so popular. It never is. Kids love to play it, but nobody watches it other than Hispanics on Fox Deportes or whatever the hell that's called. Name a regular old-fashioned American who turns on the TV and puts their feet up, says, honey, make me hot dogs and French fries. I'm watching soccer. I mean, just nobody does it. How about this one? In Venezuela, this one's a little corny. In Venezuela, the government is seizing bakeries. Naturally, this is a financial blow to bakers who need the dough. Happy birthday to CNN anchorman Wolf Blitzer. Tonight, there will be a small party. Just Wolf, his family, and his one viewer. And finally, economic news. According to a new poll, 24% of Americans haven't saved a dime for retirement. And sadly, the other 20% haven't saved a frickin' nickel. That is humor from Cliff Lawrence. I met him at the Italian American Club. We had that great event about 2 weeks ago now. You remember these things for the rest of your life. Great moments. The Italianization of Wayne. Sold-out crowd, standing room only, and everybody had such a great time. They gave me a great ribbing, and I am now the Italian Jew, Wayne Allyn. This show is WAR Now, 790 Talk Now, Talk That Rocks. And we also are heard at 98.1 FM in Palm Springs. And then the great news is starting on April 10th, we have the official date now, April 10th, we go national, and this show will be syndicated all over this great country, coming soon to a liberal near you. Tell them to get ready and put on a motorcycle helmet because otherwise their head is going to explode. Maybe the helmet could keep it contained so the damage will not be too great to those around them. Wayne Allyn, WAR Now. When we get back, you'll have the Root Rant to start this hour of 5 o'clock on this last day of the week. Thank God it's Friday. And then we'll have Sam Landis in studio. He's here now, waiting patiently to answer your tax questions and to talk about tax reform. All right, Wayne Allyn, WAR Now. I ended the last segment with some of Cliff Lawrence's humor, but I got one more for you. I got to lay one more on you. Uber president Jeff Jones has quit, and the split was acrimonious. To give you an idea of how bad it was, after cleaning out his desk, he went home in a cab. Cliff Lawrence, you got a great sense of humor, my man. I really appreciate you sending the jokes my way. All good stuff. And by the way, that brings up a point that I wanted to talk about in today's show. It just seems like life, most people listening to me right now are average middle-class Joes and Janes. And if you have a chance for mobility in America, you might go like I did from a son of a butcher to a small businessman, a successful one living in a nice house in Las Vegas. But you're not worth $100 million. You're not worth $200 million. You're not worth $1 billion. But when you play at those levels, it seems like everybody's connected. And the same people, the same rich people get recycled again and again and play in the same big ball games, even if they've never done anything to deserve it in their lives. So I was just shocked the other day to see that when Uber's CEO was under fire because he made some dumb comments in the back of the Uber and a camera was on. You know about that? He made some stupid comments to the Uber driver, and the Uber driver filmed it, and, he was just rude to his employee, and they put it on the air, and so he got in some trouble. And the board of directors is reining him in, and they're demanding he hire other executives. And so they showed the chairman of the board of directors on TV, and it's Ariana Huffington is the chairman of the board of Uber. Now, what did Ariana Huffington ever do to deserve to be chairman of the board of Uber? What did she ever do? Right, she's rich. She was born rich. She was born basically in royalty. She's the daughter of royalty in Greece. Her father was she was a princess, basically. She comes to America. She immediately marries, I believe his name was Michael Huffington. He runs for U.S. Senate. He's worth $100 million. And in the middle of the race, he admits he's gay, and they get divorced. So, you know the sex was great, right? Ariana Huffington's claim to fame is she married a gay guy, and they never had sex. And for that, she deserves to be chairman of the board of Uber. I mean, you got to be kidding. And she's making all the public statements for Uber. What is her claim to fame? Oh, I forgot. She founded Huffington Post, the ultra-liberal news site. Well, guess what? It's very hard to be the founder of an ultra-conservative news site and ever get anyone to put you on a board of directors of a major company. It doesn't happen. So how come there's this double standard in America that liberals get away with murder? You could be conservative and they call you radical and out of touch with America. But if you're liberal, they hire you for the board of directors of Uber, which is now worth, I believe, $60 billion. Do you know what she must be paid to be on that board of directors of a $60 billion company? I'll bet for going to a meeting 4 times a year, and now she's been pressed into service. It's almost like she's CEO of the company. I'll bet she gets $1 million a year plus several million in stock. You want to bet? For doing nothing. The rich just get richer, and liberals complain about inequality, and they're the ones that live it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They think the rest of us are nothings, and they deserve to be chairman of the board of Uber. And by the way, once again, we know that talk radio works for conservatives, and my show's exploding and incredibly successful. But liberal talk radio, a giant failure. And for the same reason, liberal websites don't do well. Conservative websites do fantastic. But Huffington Post somehow, some way got bought by AOL. And AOL overpaid $314 million to Ariana Huffington to buy Huffington Post at a time where every expert said they wouldn't pay one plug nickel for Huffington Post. She got some idiot, Steve Case of AOL, to spend $314 million to buy her company. But, of course, he paid for it in stock, not in real money. It was $314 million of AOL stock. So she gets rich off a crappy company that didn't deserve to be worth 1/10 of that. And now she goes on to pop up as chairman of the board of Uber, and she's the one making all the statements because the CEO isn't allowed to appear in public anymore because he's so embarrassed the company that she's the one doing all the talking for the company now. Ariana Huffington, little rich spoiled brat princess from Greece who married the gay boy, and he admitted he was gay because I guess they had no sex life, and he married her just to cover up his gayness. And what's her claim to fame? I don't know. Being a little rich girl, being married to a gay guy, starting a company that wasn't worth $314 million that sold for $314 million to idiotic liberals at AOL? I don't know. But somebody thinks she's worthwhile being chairman of the board of a $60 billion company called Uber. And I just sit back and laugh because I think it's all a joke. Do the shareholders of the company, do any of them know Ariana, what she's ever done in her life that would make her qualified to be the spokesman now for a $60 billion company? I don't know. This is the way life works. I said this the other day on the show. If you ever met billionaires, and I've been lucky enough in my life, even though I'm just a small businessman, because I have a big mouth and I'm in the media day and night, and people see me as a Fox News guy, and I wear $5,000 suits when I'm on Fox News, everyone thinks I'm a billionaire too. So I've actually met many billionaires, been in business with billionaires, been at parties with billionaires, and I know these people. And I'm telling you, when you meet them in person, they are the most unimpressive people you've ever met in your entire life. They just got lucky somewhere along the way to get where they are, because very few of them have any smarts at all. Very few of them would impress you if you met them at a party. They're weird, they're strange, and they got all the same problems every other human being has, but they covered up with $1 billion. They papered over. And I'm telling you, I spent some time in the living room of Ariana Huffington's house, and I'm telling you, I had a long afternoon with Ariana, and I'm telling you, there is nothing special going on there. How she is the chairman of a $60 billion company is just another joke that proves that this world is just a cruel joke. I'm telling you. That woman has not done anything to deserve that role that she's got. Wow. Trump supporter closes computer repair shop to move to a red state following threats. Thought that was an interesting story I'd talk to you about. A conservative business owner in Lake Oswego, Oregon, is packing up his business, his computer repair business, and heading to a red state following threats because he organized a pro-Trump march. Kevin Kerwin, known as Kevin the Geek, ran a computer repair shop in a town bordering the historic left-leaning Portland. And he gained national attention for the conservative signs he posted outside his shop and got many threats. Just as I get many threats and many death threats, liberals are just unhinged. In 2012, a sign plastered on a storefront called former President Obama an incompetent, lousy excuse for a president. Kerwin was reportedly assaulted at that time for a sign. A more recent display set up outside his repair shop condemned all ignorant liberals. The sign told liberals to go straight to hell. To all ignorant liberals, including Bruce Springsteen, the 4 people who kidnapped and tortured a disabled teenager just because he supports Donald Trump. Remember that happened in Chicago. Just shows you're a party of complete morons. I'm embarrassed to call you Americans. Go straight to hell where you belong. We've had it with you idiots. At the time, he told the Wilmette Week, since the election, liberals have been burning down Portland, smashing cars, crying like babies, calling because they won the popular vote when everyone knew it was the electoral vote that would win the election. They're crying and they're crying. And then I saw the video of that kid getting tortured in Chicago. And I said, screw you, I'm leaving. And it appears Kerwin has finally become fed up enough to leave. He placed a sign outside his shop thanking Lake Oswego for the 10 years he's been in business, but he's finally going to join his fellow deplorables in a red state. He told the Oregonian, because of his involvement in organizing the March 4th Trump rally in his city, he received phone threats. One person allegedly told him he wouldn't be marching at all. I just wish liberals would get their act together, Kerwin told the Oregonian. Freedom of speech is a right and not what they decide can be said or not. You don't stop other people from speaking out. Asked by the Wilmette Week where he was planning to move, Kerwin responded by saying, why do you want to know? So you can send your liberal idiots after me? So he just said, I'm moving to a red state, won't tell anyone where. And then final news story before we get to Sam Landis and the tax stories of the day. And your calls, by the way, with April 15th coming up. Anything you want to know about taxes, any problems you have with the IRS, Sam's here to answer them for you. Listen, I'm on Facebook. I've got over 40,000 followers on Facebook. But I hate Facebook, and they're a bunch of liberal jerk-offs, and they really do make me sick to my stomach. So here's the shocking double standard of Facebook exposed yet again. The way in which Facebook policies content is under scrutiny again. It was revealed that a post in which a user called for white women to be hunted and killed was deemed not a violation of community standards. White women should be hunted and killed, then we won't get white babies who think they own the world, the user posted. And someone sent in anonymously to Facebook the comment and said, you got to block them. This is violent talk. And Facebook sent back, thank you for taking the time to report something you feel may violate our community standards. Reports like yours are an important part of making Facebook a safe and welcoming environment. We reviewed the comment you reported for displaying hate speech and found it doesn't violate our community standards. Let me repeat it. White women should be hunted and killed, then we won't get white babies who think they own the world. When the post was reported for by another user for hate speech, yeah, I already read you that part. It wasn't deemed as anything that would violate community standards. Meanwhile, posts by Christians that simply state biblical passages in discussions about homosexuality are being removed every day. Pages devoted to showing grisly mock images of President Trump being assassinated are not taken down. The social networking giant has received criticism in several recent incidents during which rapes of women have been live video streamed on the platform. Facebook also refused to remove the infamous video where a mentally disabled man was tortured by a group of young black men. Now, that's the one the Oswego guy is talking about. It happened in Chicago. So apparently Facebook is okay with hate crime videos as long as they show white people being tortured by black people. It seems that Facebook is too busy complying with threats to remove so-called fake news to deal with actual examples of real hate speech and violence. Just incredible. Just incredible. And then Facebook also began recently declaring InfoWars posts to be spam and deleting them from public view, while this appears to have been remedied for the time being. Almost every single post posted by InfoWars is being scrubbed by Facebook. In any case, double standards abound in the media, and all of these high-tech companies, Google, Facebook, you name the high-tech company, I will show you a place where they're scrubbing conservatives' comments, and they're posting liberal comments, leaving liberal comments, hosting liberal comments, but conservatives got to go. And that way they're changing young people's opinions about politicians. In other words, only bad stuff about Trump can be posted, and the good stuff gets scrubbed and taken away. And the same thing with the news that they choose to let you watch. There were days during this election campaign where young friends of mine said that when you went to any of these high-tech websites, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it was, if they had news, the news was almost every article was a negative article about Trump. And then the other articles, the other few that weren't negative about Trump might have been about a different topic, but there was never a single positive story ever allowed about Donald Trump. This is called propaganda. This is called brainwashing. This is how you brainwash an entire generation against Republican conservatives. And it's going on every day at Facebook. Amazing. So if you hate white women and want to see them hunted down and killed, Facebook is your place. You're welcomed. It's a welcoming place. All right, Wayne Allyn, War Now. When we get back, get ready. Line up in the calls. Tax time. Sam Landis is in the house, the great tax attorney. If you have any questions about upcoming tax returns on April 15th or any problems you're having with the IRS, he will take your calls. He is one of the sponsors of this show. He is a great guy. He's coming on with me to sponsor my new national show. He's going national, baby. Sam Landis of Siegel, Cohen, and Landis, 844-WAR-NOW-1. Any tax question, his advice, free, 844-WAR-NOW-1. And he certainly was the best tax lawyer in the world for me, because when the IRS came after me twice, we beat them both times. And Sam Landis was the key to that happening. He beat them back for me both times, didn't owe a penny. And I owe Sam big time. And he's become a sponsor of this show, now sponsored my national show. He's a guy who gets people out of trouble. He's handled over 10,000 cases with the IRS, and he knows how to get people out of trouble. So if you have any questions, any issues, any problems at the IRS, we'd love to hear from you. Sam's glad to answer your questions. Phone number here is 844-WAR-NOW-1, 844-927-6691. In the meantime, I want to talk to Sam about an Obamacare nightmare situation that has affected one of his clients, someone that signed on for Sam's services. And this case was so bad, so egregious, that you actually took him pro bono for free, yeah?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, Wayne. But we took on a case pro bono because it was so unusual, and it really screams out for clarification on how these types of cases are going to be processed.
So what happened? Tell us and educate us.
Yeah, so a couple had a $12,000 tax liability, not necessarily large enough for the IRS to file a tax lien, but they were required to buy Obamacare, and when they bought Obamacare, they were both unemployed, so they got the large subsidies. Before the end of the year, they both became employed, and there was a subsidy clawback of $18,000.
So they were given $18,000 worth of free health care, free health insurance, and then once you get your job, you have to give back the $18,000. No one can ever do that. There's not enough money in the world, because these aren't people getting $800,000 jobs. These are people getting $40,000 jobs. How are you going to give back $18,000 while you make your current payments? You can't.
Yeah, in this case, the job value was between the two of them was like somewhere around $70,000 or $80,000 for the two of them.
For the two of them,
Still not a large amount. So what happened is that the clawback of $18,000 was added to their already $12,000 tax liability. So now the IRS is enforcing a $30,000 tax liability. That liability is large enough that the IRS actually filed a tax lien against the guy. And once they filed the tax lien, he got fired from his job.
Because his employer didn't like that he had a tax lien.
The employer didn't like the fact that he had a tax lien.
Now, you've been on this show before. Tax liens are rampant in this country at this point. The IRS is filing tax liens against lots and lots of people, right?
Yeah, the historical average is about 1 million tax liens a year are filed in this country.
But is it higher now than it's ever been? I would think.
Well,
'cause
the
people owe money more than they've ever